Your organizational style says a lot about you. Some people are highly organized, others not so much, but everybody does have an organizational style that is very unique to them. That touches upon how their personality style fits into organization. Organizational styles might be highly structured or a little bit looser, but that doesn't mean one is more effective than another. It simply means that one is more effective to an individual than another. And that all ties back to how they're able to manipulate this information as effectively for themselves as possible. Organization means organizing your home, organizing desk work, organization of paperwork, and even organization of digital files. But it also goes way beyond that in terms of understanding concepts, topics in your brain differently from others. Organizational style is very much connected with your learning style in terms of understanding visuals versus experiences. Linking your organizational style with your learning style enables you to break down information a much easier way for yourself. And that means that you'll be able to digest the information that's given to you in a much more seamless way. Let's dive further into organizational styles to better understand how we as individuals break down topics differently from one another. When we refer to organizational style unleashing your potential, it is about learning what works for you, rather than necessarily learning a one-size-fits-all organizational style. This applies to absolutely everything without exception. From how your brain processes ideas, to how you break down your personal responsibilities, down to remembering people's names or directions to places, and even remembering things you're supposed to do within a due date, for example. Of course, we're here referring to not just physical material, but mental information as well. But keep in mind that this is linked to your learning style, but always based on your innate personality. But even more personalized based on the experiences you've lived through, which have shaped who you have become today. But what exactly constitutes an organizational style? We know people who are highly organized in the traditional sense, those who you can trust to provide structure, create a framework for everything, from organizing a surprise birthday party to planning out a year-long project. But even those who do not fit into this traditional organization box have their own style. If we visualize a grid, there are those who organize using a generalized and very high-level superficial approach versus those who are extremely detail-oriented who have a system. Again, let's call them the traditionalists. But even those two types of people may be structured versus customized or personalized, in terms of their style being way too nuanced that a layperson or an external person who hasn't created that organizational system, who is not present when that was put into place, would absolutely be lost upon attempting to learn this quote-unquote organizational system. So, people may sit anywhere within that gradient in this framework. I personally sit on the dot indicated on the grid, being highly detailed, usually aiming for a more simplistic framework that can be applied to all. Again, the link between organizational style and learning style exists because of the way our brain functions. If you learn in a particular way, you would organize your thoughts and hence your physical belongings as well in a similar way. Some understand by seeing, while others learn by doing. That is the primary difference. Visual learners organize with a more simplistic or sensory style, while experiential learners that may be more difficult to understand for somebody who tries to learn that organizational system after the fact, as opposed to the person who created this system. End of the day, it's really important to identify what your personal style is. Again, going back to breaking down what your true identity is in terms of your skills, your capabilities, your innate features. Ultimately, all of this goes back to better understanding who you are as a person, because that way you'd be able to build upon your innate toolkit with experiences and learnings that enable you to improve as you grow. Your innate characteristics are truly unique to you, and it's really important to make sure that you're leveraging those innate capabilities as effectively as possible to live a much smoother and seamless life. This would allow you to live life in a much simpler way for yourself as possible. Remember, learning from others is important, but it's important to customize those learnings for yourself. There's a fellow Canadian creator whose brand revolves around organization, mostly of your home. She has an assessment you can take to identify your organizational style, which can be an interesting piece of information to extrapolate even into different scenarios. It's always a good idea to learn something new about yourself, and you can utilize this information to better organize your environment in a way that works for you. Again, you can translate home organizational tools into everything from digital organization to day-to-day organization, with tips to use both at home and at work. I'll link her assessment below for you to take.